Testing, testing. I don't need this, but I figured out how to work it, so I'm going to use it this time. Alrighty, I think we're all up here.
Regenerate.
If you don't mind, everybody rise and then cover. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Let's do it. Can you hear me okay? What? No. Welcome to the October meeting of the Part of America Wing of the Commemorative Air Force. Thanks for coming out. Any guests? Speaking of people coming out?
I'm going to introduce a couple people later, but I can't introduce Max as a guest anymore because he's officially a mop pusher at the wing. But we do have two World War II veterans in the house, both Max DeWeese, Guadalcanal, two Purple Hearts, and Norm Williams. And Norm was quartermaster on the USS Relief. And I just think it's special when we have other heroes that are here to honor some other heroes that you'll hear about in a little bit. There's some other guests, Mark and his wife Carol, and some other folks, and I'm done. Sorry.
Before we get to the rest of the guests and non-guests, thank you, Bev Whittenborn, for bringing it to our attention. The guy who just can't stop volunteering, Max, he does Meals on Wheels for the older people who are less mobile than you might be. So I don't know if you saw this, Kansas City Star had the 913 section this week.
No, I didn't see that.
There's the article. I'll hand it around if everybody wants to read it. There's 3 or 4 pages. They're all together in there. But so I know if we need something, I know who the volunteer that can't say no is. We will come get you.
Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Maybe the card that's going around.
That's my next step. Okay, for those that don't know, John McCullough, a bon vivant, photographer extraordinaire, longtime wing member. His wife Sandy died this week, suddenly. So we've got a sympathy card going around. If you wouldn't mind signing it, that'd be great. And we'll have it sent off to him this week. Jim Neese, have a comment?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Are we finished with the guests?
No, we're going back to guests here in a minute.
I didn't have a program, I'm sorry.
Neither did Gary, apparently, and he brought it up. Okay, we got other guests. I know we got a couple starting at the bit. Okay. Well, Jim Neese, since it's all about you, stand up. And
Gentlemen, he's my guest. Everybody welcome him
in the back, Jeff.
I've got a guest, he's been with us several times, Lou Ramsey, Korean War Navy.
All right. All right. Bob?
My grandson, Brad Connor.
Hi, Brad.
All right.
Honoring our military. Any other guests?
Yes. Son-in-law Jack Farr, retired Army Colonel with Green Berets.
Oh, yes. Hi, Jack.
Alrighty. Thanks for coming out. Luke, are you here? There you go. You ready to be known? We've had 3 days with no accidents, so we're going to... Luke, everybody. Anybody else needing a name tag that's ordered one that hadn't got it yet? Okay. Anybody wants a name tag, hold up your pretty name tag and show them. Jack McCann. Jack's not here today, is he? Okay, never mind. We'll do that next time. Just some news updates. Those who've been downstairs in the garage noticed that huge obelisk. It's a crate to send our center section off. Maintenance officer Steve Zirman got that knocked together for us. We will need help loading that probably in the immediate future, right?
Well, I thought of today while we had some able-bodied people, we can lay it down and get it next to the center section. And then hopefully this next week we'll get the center section out.
Okay. So,
Max will help.
Max will be the I just print up the volunteers.
What time do you want?
I want you to supervise Max.
Anyway, for those that don't know, our wings and the center section that's been down here are going to be rebuilt by the guru of wings, Nest Industries in Pennsylvania. We just got to get them to him. And our tail section is going to be rebuilt by Mike Kelly, who's the Fairchild guru. He lives up in Michigan. So in the next month or so, hopefully we'll be getting those out of the hangar and work on it. Knock on wood, the tail parts ought to be back next summer, and the wing parts maybe the summer after that. Although the last time we're still at.
Oh.
You want to give a Nest update?
Mark is anxiously awaiting our project. He can't start on it till spring because he's got 3 other airplanes and pieces of airplane in front of it. But once he gets to it, he's saying 12 to 14 months once he starts.
So there you go.
That's because he'll do it 40, his company, MD Aero, will do it 40 hours a week. So it'll accelerate, hopefully accelerate our process. Cost us a little more, but it'll accelerate our process.
So probably not next summer, but maybe the summer after that.
Hopefully.
We'll have enough PG-19 parts to put it back together. Any questions about PG-19s? Okay, the Cub Scouts are going to come out and visit October 27th, which is a Wednesday, 6 to 6:30, and then November 9th, which is a Tuesday, 6:30, they said for definite sure. We could use some volunteers out here to show them around, be docents to the museum, keep the 8-year-olds from touching everything. But if you're interested in volunteering, you can show up, wear a blue shirt would be nice, not mandatory, but if you have any other questions, give me a call on the CAF phone line or just buttonhole me here. Anyway, October 27th, November 9th, 2 community outreaches, different Cub Scout packs coming. Darren Roberts, are you here? No, he's not here. We have a new co-curator for the museum, John, is you here? John Curatola? Professor from up at Leavenworth has agreed to help out with Darren to run the museum. So they've got some projects already in mind. You might notice we're getting all of these SAC bombers coming up the staircase. You can't see it, I can see it because I have wing leader vision. All those models going up the wing, he's going to try and get every single bomber that SAC ever had up the wing, and he's in the midst of painting a SAC stripe up there. It's going to be pretty. And they're going to redo some of the museum here. The engine out front, they're going to repaint that in authentic colors. They got a lot of plans coming up. Speaking of coming up, Veterans Day, VVA 243, the Huey guys, have been invited to go down to the World War I Museum and exhibit. They've invited us to come along with them. So look for more emails coming out on that, but if you want to help out, it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday over Veterans Day. We can set up our tent, sell gift certificates for the Stearman, promote the CAF, and just hang around with the VVA guys. They're pretty fun. Speaking of blue shirts, if you order one off of the website from headquarters with shipping, it runs about $60. We were thinking we might be able to produce some locally at a significant discount. If we were to do that, just no commitment right now, but a show of hands. So there'd be a significant, okay, Jim Vaughn, put both hands up, we'll talk about it.
The shirt company that does all our company shirts, a cotton, not a polyester, a cotton golf shirt with our logo, not the wings, but our full color logo on the rest. They're saying they can turn them out at $32.50, maybe less if we do more. They say the minimum order they'd like to see is 12. So anyway, if we decide to move forward, just see me. We'll sign up for the shirts and the sizes. We'll move forward. I'll have an example of it next meeting if you want to wait till you see it.
Okay, we'll send out an email and contact information and stuff if you want there. I think there's enough interest. I think we can do that. About shirts. Richard Davey has moved into his daughter's house. He could use some visitors or phone calls. If someone's interested, I have her address and phone number here. Come contact me after the meeting and I'll give that to you. I didn't really want to blast it out to everybody right now. And we got John McCullough. Oh, okay. Elections coming up in November. We've got elections. There's a hand in the back. Too much sun in the way. Oh, it's white. Okay. The halo around your head blinded me.
What's the status on Burn?
I can't hear you. What?
What's the status on Burn?
Davies, Burn
Davies. That is Richard, right?
Yeah.
He's just older and feeling less able, so he's living with his daughter now.
So I'm confused then. I always thought Richard was his son.
They're both Richard.
They're both
Yeah.
Well, I
Richard,
didn't know that.
but it turns out after 20 years of calling him Vern, he doesn't like that.
That makes sense.
So if you're gonna go visit him, please don't call him Vern.
Richard wants to be called Vern.
Anyway, Richard the Elder has moved in with his daughter, and he could use some company or a phone call once in a while. Again, I didn't want to blast it out there, but I do have the daughter's address and phone number here if you want to get in contact with them. Elections. Elections, we're headed after that. We have elections coming in November for the wing staff, wing leader, XO, and operations officer. I think all the candidates are here actually today, are they not?
Wow.
So,
Whittenborn's not here.
who isn't?
John Whittenborn.
Whittenborn's not here. Okay, but he's running unopposed, so he'll probably do it. None of the above is not on the ballot, but you can write it in. Well, why don't we introduce, starting with the wing leader, Mark McMahon, we'll do it alphabetically. Come on up if you want, use the microphone if you need. Get this cool view of the crowd because you'll have that soon. This is Mark McMahon, longtime wing member running for wing leader. Tell them why we ought to vote for you for wing leader. Why are you here?
Tell it like it is, Mark.
Well, I think that I just want to contribute to the expansion and good long life of our organization here. I think we do good work. We have an important mission, and I think it's important to have people who are dedicated and passionate about what we do. I'm freshly retired. I don't have anything to do. My wife wants me out of kick me out of the house. I got something to do. I really don't want to go back to work. So, but I think what we do is really, really important. I think that I think I'm excited about the PT19 project. I think we can do more to make ourselves more visible within the community, and I just think we need to work on getting our outreach with a broader scope. Because if we're like a shark. If we don't keep growing, we're going to die. So we got to bring younger members in.
How long have you been in the CAF?
Since 2012, so 9 years.
Are you a pilot?
I am a pilot. I am rated in fixed and rotary wing, single and multi-engine, and I also flew drones through large remote pilot aircraft.
But you were not a CAF airplane sponsor right now?
I am not currently, no.
What are your other hobbies besides aviation?
I like to work on my motorcycles and my Corvette, and I like to shoot,
You got one more hobby, what is it?
and I like to hunt.
There you go. Anybody have a question?
Any questions? No questions? All right. Awesome.
Thanks, Mark. Our other candidate for wing leader is Steve Zirman.
Are you gonna ask me a bunch of questions?
Unless you get your bio right. It says, vote for me. There it is. You want to read? Steve's our current maintenance officer. Well, you can tell him.
Yeah, current maintenance officer. I've held several positions on staff, safety, maintenance, operations for 10 years, 12 years?
At least.
Lots of committees, dance committee for a while, air show committee. I too, like Mark, I mean, there's a lot of potential here. We got a lot of people, a lot of new folks, and that's great. If you get some younger folks, we need to work on that. But PT19, I think, is probably priority number one to get that done. And then I think we need to do a lot around the hangar to get it spruced up, to keep Jim Deese busy with activities that are coming in, and people doing the weddings and that kind of stuff. I have hobbies. Did you want to know?
Do you know what they are?
No.
Would you like me to tell them what your number one hobby is?
Breaking airplanes?
Bonsai Steve. Bonsai Steve. Those of you that were here a few months ago know that he's officially an honorary Tora pilot.
Wow.
And that's for downing 2 B-29s in 10 days. And earlier this week, he was down flying Doc and he broke it. That's 3. 2 more, and he's officially a Japanese ace.
On the other hand, isn't that kind of promoting the CAF when you're dealing with some other company's airplane? Good job. You'll be retiring?
Retiring in December?
Yo,
Yay.
Good for you.
Retired from what?
Flying.
at a young age.
Airline, 40 years, getting ready to retire, finally. So as soon as I get done with Susie's projects, I'll have plenty of time. Yeah. So, yeah, 5 or 6 years I should be ready.
Susie's the one that's got the Vote for Mark t-shirt on. He's also a CFI and a CAF CFI.
Wait, we got questions for you?
Yes, Bill.
Steve, what airplanes do you have?
We gotta be done by noon, you know.
Piper Cub
Oh.
in parts. You probably didn't even know about that.
Oh,
Aranca Champ,
a what?
an Aranca Champ,
Okay.
an L-19 Bird Dog, an Avion,
Didn't know that one.
soon to be maybe a T-34 unless you keep pestering me. So yeah, is that 5?
That ought to be enough.
That's just about enough.
Isn't that the minimum required to be a wing leader in this unit?
Apparently.
I see you supersede Brian.
Okay, well, I got a couple for sale.
Thank you. Any other questions for Steve? Vote for Steve. Coming up for EXO unopposed is John Whittenborn. I assume everybody knows him. John is a retired airline pilot. He has been a stalwart Heart of America wing member for the last few years. Where's Beverly? He brought Bev to the wing, so that's better than 99% of us have done. He's a CFI. He's a CAF CFI. He owns a Pitts airplane and a Cessna 185, I believe it is.
185.
185, thank you very much. And
He's a retired military pilot.
retired military, exactly. He was a C-130 pilot for a long, long time. He has a lot of good stories.
Some of them true.
He was once my co-pilot.
Really? Oh, that's right. Okay. Anyway, reading from his official bio, he would like larger print. He would like to see the Heart of America Wing improve its financial base through more sponsors and donations to the wing. He feels it's important to continue new member recruiting efforts, especially recruiting and retaining aircraft maintenance personnel. He would like to investigate hangar expansion ideas to provide more storage and aircraft maintenance space. As hobbies, he plays the piano. At one time, he played professionally, he says. So, John Whittenborn.
He didn't talk about that last time.
No, he didn't.
So when you put the dollar in the glass jar on top of the piano, it sticks.
That's how we're going to raise money from that one. All righty, final position up for re-election is operations officer, and I thought I saw Vince. There's Vince. Vince Hill, everybody, if you want to stand up and tell them who you are and why you're here.
Up in front.
Up in front, up in front.
So, yeah, I'm Vince Hill. How are you guys? I just haven't been able to be real involved with the unit, the group here, and I've got a little bit more time, not as much as all the retired guys, but just want to get involved and help out. Got some experience and just want to share what I know.
Do you have any mechanical abilities?
A little bit.
Have you ever worked in a mechanical environment?
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
I have a exotic car repair shop, so we fix old Italian stuff. So if I can keep that running, we can keep these running. But yep.
Have you ever owned an airplane? How many you got right now? I got T6, T28.
He knows Brian, let him talk.
T6, T28, C45, Casa Santa HA200, CJ6A, and
Maybe he doesn't know.
another Beach 18. I got another Beach 18 project, and
What's your wife fly?
CJ.
Okay, that's that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, yep.
I know I feel like it.
Well, yeah, don't ever have him for maintenance, that's for sure.
Not running for maintenance, it's for us.
So yeah, no, I just want to help out. I just haven't been, I just moved closer here and I just thought it was a good time to come help Steve.
Great.
Vince is also one of the most clever special tool engineers I have ever seen. When it comes to doing special, ridiculous projects, working on some of his cars, he's showed me some of the stuff he's made. It's just like, wow. It's so.
Yeah, so I mean,
Mother's the necessity of invention. He's good at it.
so no matter what, I want to help, right? So if we need tools, equipment, stuff, I'm more than willing. So maybe even able.
Hey. Vince Hill, everybody.
I got a question.
Okay.
How long you been a member?
See
This
what,
way.
14, I think, 13.
13, 2013,
Yeah.
13 years?
Yeah, 12, no, not 13 years. 20, when did I move up here?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. No, I came up here and, I think I've been 6 years, 5 years, something like that. I just haven't been around here much, yeah, so.
I got one other question.
Yeah.
And I say this respectfully.
Watch out.
How many staff meetings and things have you been to? Because you're trying to be a very important position here, okay? And until today, I've only seen you once before, I've never seen you participate in the wing. So
Right, and that's what I'm trying to
What makes
do.
the change from
Yeah, so a couple.
participation to being one of the key members?
Right, so a couple things, right? So we've had, I've just been growing my business, I'm a business owner, so being closer to the wing has helped. And so I'll be able to be here more, obviously. And then I'm doing some stuff with other aircraft and I'm just not gonna be doing as much of that. So I'll just be, taking care of my own stuff takes a lot of time, obviously. So I'm just trying to make, more or less, I'm just trying to give you what time I have and be here more. So, but I agree, yeah, I haven't been around much, but I'm here now. You know.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, one other question.
Sure.
What other aircraft do you fly these?
DC-3 a little bit. I started doing the B-29, working on flight engineering. So, yeah. Huey.
Which B-29?
Doc. Yeah.
The pretty one.
The pretty.
Sorry,
The broken one right now.
So, yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I haven't been around much the last 5-6 years. So, but again, just trying to keep up with my own stuff too.
Because that position takes lots of time.
It does.
To be here.
Right. And what I'm here for today. To offer my time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay, and the guy campaigning for Vince is the other candidate for operations officer, and he's our current operations officer, actually, Bob Robinson.
Yeah.
Tell us about you, Bob.
Well, I started out as a child.
It didn't go much farther.
Yeah. No, I've been a member of the CAF. I first joined the CAF back in the early '90s. Gene Linder talked me into this mess. I was one of the people that helped bolt this hangar together 20 some odd years ago. Gene and I did a lot of work and laying the groundwork to get this piece of property, to find this sheet metal, to do all the stuff to it. I've held various staff positions on and off throughout the years. I've been ops officer for the last 4, something like that, since I took it over from Zirman. I'd helped Steve out a lot too on that. I own a 1/5 of an airplane, when it flies, and I don't know, just right now I think we have been, and these have been tough times the last couple of years, as you all know. We have parlayed the resources that we have available we are close to the top 10 units in the CAF as far as the number of hours flown and ride frequency with our one little airplane. And we don't go across country very often. A lot of these guys are building hours going from air show to air show, the bigger units, the bigger wings. So I think my hat's off to all the pilots and the ground support crews and the mechanical crews to keeping that Stearman going, because we're doing our share of the load. So called to serve again, I'd be happy to do it. And so I've known Vince for a long time. Vince is a fine, good pilot, fine guy, excellent mechanic, and however you want to go, we'll support whatever needs to be done.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Wait, we got
how many hours
questions?
do you spend?
Pardon me?
How many hours a week do you think you spend on this job?
Oh, it depends. Lately, about 30 to 40 on doing gift certificates and lining, organizing rides, organizing. We had a pay ride this morning. We were at Great Bend, and it's kind of tough because we don't get invited to many air shows. We're limited in our range. Weather plays a big part of it, but getting all that stuff organized, it's at least 30 hours a week on a steady basis. So,
A lot of phone calls.
well, it's been growing. We've been getting busier for as stagnant as a lot of the economies have been. I'm really proud to say that our wing has stayed really busy. I think this year we may set a record. I don't know if Tom McChesney is keeping track of I don't know what numbers mean what, but I've never seen the Zirman so busy as it's been this summer. And for us, our little group with one little airplane, to be up in the top, easily the top 15 units in all the CAF speaks highly of this whole entire group. So
Maintenance people.
everybody, the ground crew, the ground op, everything, everybody, it's a team effort for sure. And everybody's been busy. I know all the ride crews have been busy. The maintenance crews have been, and we had to change the oil more this year than we have ever. So it's been an interesting couple of years. And I think there's tough times. We're not out of the woods yet as far as all this COVID stuff. And a lot of people, we should be having a hangar dance tonight, but the band backed out some time ago. So there's a lot of we got a lot of trees to navigate, but I think we're doing okay. So, any questions?
You got a ride flight tomorrow at 3, I booked this morning, so.
3 a.m.?
Yeah, if you get here at 3 a.m., plug the heater in. Tomorrow at
Yes.
3 p.m.
And speaking of that, special kudos to Steve Zirman. We had a pay ride this morning for the Lineman's Rodeo, and Steve had the option to brave it in the open cockpit of these close to frigid temperatures, or he could have had the comfortable confines of his bird dog, and he chose to tough it out in the CAF airplane. So, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. So,
40 some odd degrees, wasn't it?
yeah, 42, I think, this morning.
It was quite a wind chill.
It was frisky. So, any questions? All right.
All right, thank you, Bob. I would like to thank Gary Stewart for donating his airplane in time, and Steve Zirman for taking the frostbite hit, for doing our lineman rodeo overflight. It's a good PR thing we do every year.
And you.
And me, appreciate the help.
It's more than PR. They've been more than generous with us. There's been years we haven't been able to fly. They've still made a donation to our cause. It's a tradition. That's probably the longest running, standing flight that we've done. It's been going on for over 20 years.
Long time.
And if you don't know what the Lineman's Rodeo is, you ought to look it up. It's an amazing international event, what those guys do to stay certified, and it's right up there in Bonner Springs. It's a pretty amazing event, so, and they love us. And so
We love them.
kudos for the guys that were able to make the flight this morning.
Right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One last announcement. The Yankee Air Museum had their B-25 in town last week, and part of their fundraising up in their museum, they're honoring the Rosies who actually built these airplanes. And they've got a wall. If you have a grandmother, great aunt, anybody who was a Rosie the Riveter, there's an application here. You can fill it out, send them a check for $30, I think it is. $35, thank you. And they'll put her name up on the wall and honor her in perpetuity. These will be on the back cabinet there as soon as I get to the back of the room. With that, any of the other officers have anything to announce? Financial officer?
Not really an announcement, but sort of an announcement. It's October, it's almost 2022. Next month, I'll start taking checks for 2022 dues. If
Can't do it today.
I gotta start doing mine. He's still taking 2021 checks today, if you haven't paid your dues yet.
So you got a 30-day warning.
That's finance, maintenance, any updates?
Nothing other than you saw the crate. We do need to get it down on the floor, opened up, ready to put the center section in.
Okay, development, anything? No, education, anybody else on staff?
We have an operating fire system. Thank you, Ed Toomey.
Oh,
We got that up and running.
That's right, Ed Toomey, everybody who has kept us safe from fire for years.
And Jim Bond.
And Jim Bond. Both of whom are eligible to be written in as candidates for any office you care. No, thank you both guys, that's great. It had the signal interrupt alarm going off this morning. I don't hear it now, but.
Does this help?
Stop the fire.
It's probably just the polling on the cell radio.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, sometimes Verizon drops a tower on us and then it'll look for another tower.
Okay,
But usually it picks up another tower within just a few minutes.
okay. It was ringing, I don't hear it now, but I could be going deaf. So, with that, any other announcements or requests or suggestions?
One guy that I could point out that hasn't been here for a little while, Gene Linder.
There
guy
he is,
Who
in the
built
red
this
hat.
hangar.
Gene
He has
Linder
been here-
returns to the Gene Linder hangar.
The Gene Linder hangar. So that's Gene Linder.
Good to see you. Beverly?
Just a quick follow-up of what we did late September. We hosted the Olathe Chamber of Commerce coffee here on a Thursday morning in our hangar and had a good turnout from the chamber members, and thanks to all the volunteers who came and helped that day to set up and serve, and Ron was here with the museum and Richard Schroeder, and so we had a lot of interest in our hangar, and a lot of people say, well, I didn't know you were out here. So that's just another way to get our name out. And then a couple weeks ago, Linda and I went to the Gardner Chamber of Commerce coffee. They do a one a month. So we're talking with them to host a coffee probably April next year. So that'll get the Gardner Chamber of Commerce. It's a much smaller group, but still, it's a good way to get our unit
Advertising, it lets them know we're here and, that we're available.
I'd just like to thank everybody that helped with all our events this year. We had our last event a couple of weeks ago. I think in total, we ended up on that particular event, I think we netted somewhere around close to $3,000 with their deposits. And they bought a couple rides in the Zirman that they put in their auction. And so I want to thank everybody. Matter of fact, anybody here that's been out to help at any events all year, because we had several of them. We raised, I think, close to $10,000 this year with weddings and parties. Before I have you stand up, this last event was a group from Overland Park, the Young Matrons of Johnson County. It was a fundraiser for them. They made, she's not sure yet, about $16,000 in our hangar. Okay, so if you know anybody, organization, or church group, or kids group, or softball group, we've had, the last softball group we had, they raised $19,000 in about 4 hours down here. They had mouse races, and they had poker tables and that kind of stuff, and so they served a meal from Joe's Barbecue that they raised, that kind of money. So this is a real kind of a filler for us in the year to pay for things that the other income, and it's to the bottom line money. So I want to thank everybody that's helped's not here, but those people that have worked on any event this year, please stand up. Chuck, Ron, please stand up. I've asked for help, and I've actually had to turn people down, saying we've filled up. So next year, hopefully, we can make $15,000 or $20,000, and that makes up for the shortfall that we have. And there's a guy here that came last time. He said, "What can I do?" I handed him 200 yards of wire, and I says, "Wrap this up." So he started wrapping it up. He said, "Oh, well, I can't really, I dragged up another 100 feet, and he's wrapping it up. So no job's too simple for these guys. Dan's never gonna talk to me again.
And these are the unsung heroes, much as it's operations selling airplane rides and pilots flying rides and maintenance getting it done. If the lights aren't on and the heat's not working, it's all kind of moot. And airplane rides alone do not fund this place. Thank you, Jim Neese, for all your work selling. Alrighty, with that, I think my half is done.
The smaller half?
Dave Dyer, everyone.
Everybody remembers World War II and Doolittle's raid and that famous bombing over Tokyo. And those guys taking off of an aircraft carrier, the USS Hornet, and making that bombing run. And during that time in the 1940s, this place right here, Olathe Naval Air Station, was training pilots. And I remember one of the early speakers that I got probably 5 or 6 years ago that was on a panel, who would be a little older than Max right now, probably 101, 102 right now, passed away. He came from Fairfax when they moved the base over to the Olathe Naval Air Station. Fast forward to the late 1960s. Our speaker today, Al Dorothy, was out at the Olathe Naval Air Station where he met a recruiter. And that recruiter talked him into, didn't sound like it probably needed much talking into. Al began then his career with the USS Navy, and a very distinguished career at that. You're going to see a very powerful video that Sean Wynn has done. And in that video, you're going to see one little snippet of him winning, or him being awarded, Al Dorothy, our speaker, being awarded the James Stockdale Leadership Award. And for those of you that don't know about the James Stockdale Medal, he was a Medal of Honor recipient in the Vietnam War. And he had exhibited exemplary leadership while a prisoner of war in North Vietnam for 8 years. That leadership award that's given to 2 individuals, one of which is from the Pacific, each year. Our speaker, Al Dorothy, today, the year before he was awarded, Thomas Fargo was awarded the James Stockdale Leadership Award. When he was awarded that, he became later an admiral. 3 years before Al Dorothy won that award, or was awarded the James Stockdale Leadership Award, Rear Admiral Mullen would later become the 17th Joint Chiefs of Staff. So you're going to see in the video a very small clip about the award given to Al Dorothy. So bombings, Tokyo, we remember World War II. In 1972, Nixon authorized bombings in the Vietnam War. Soon after, the POWs were released. During those bombing raids, according to History.com, we lost 15 giant B-52s and 11 other aircraft. Our speaker, Al Dorothy, was one of those that served during Nixon's bombing runs to help instigate the release of those POWs. And today, in our audience, John Clark on the front row is one of those POWs. He had spent 6 years, almost 6 years, in the Hanoi Hilton. And because of Al's efforts, John was then released. Please join me as we listen to the story of Al Dorothy. You know, it's supposed to be difficult. You know, we talk about COVID, and talk about how tough sometimes this stuff is, but it's because of the Heart of America wing that today you're going to fly that 6-year POW in a Stearman because of finance and maintenance and because of pilots and people that donate their time and energy to the wing. We're going to take and honor John Clark, who drove in from Columbia, the POW for 6 years. We're going to fly him today. And because of guys like Al Dorothy, we get a chance to honor his contributions. Some of them were easy days, and some of them were hard days. But Al's done it, and by George, he's still doing it. These two World War II veterans were at a golf tournament. They were at Shields for the Patriot Foundation because of the contributions of Al after his service. And so it's an honor to be a part of this wing, a part of this group. It's an honor to get a chance to introduce our speaker. So I'm going to ask Al to come up and just tell you a couple little things that we're going to do. Sorry about the tears. Kick me out, blackball me, whatever you want to do. But the Marines are, sorry Marine. But what I'd like to do is ask Captain Dorothy to come up. He has a few more words to share, some more video. I'd like to then have a special presentation to Al and John that'll be done by our wing leader. We have a cake in honor of our POWs. And then I'd like to ask our Vietnam veterans if they join us in front of the Huey. We'll have some lunch. We'll take a picture of our Vietnam vets. And then we'll let John take a ride in the Stearman. Please welcome Captain Al Dorothy.
I'm very humbled. It's an honor to be recognized, but believe me, standing in front of you, standing in front of these three guys here, Max, who spent all of World War II in the Pacific, 1942 to 1945, cannot imagine what Max participated in and what he saw. Norm on the ship, taking the wounded back to Guam. How many years in the prisoner of war camp? 6. 6 years in the prisoner of war camp. These are the guys that should be up here being honored, not me. A lot of you fellows who flew in Vietnam, participated in Vietnam, carried guns in Vietnam, you should be up here. Not me. Fred, you know what I'm talking about. I got over in Vietnam late in the war, but it was, for those of you who want to read about some pretty intense fighting, I would recommend that you either get a book on, it's called the 12 Days of Christmas. And it was from December 18th, 1972 to December 29th, 1972. As the video said, there were 5 aircraft carriers in the Gulf of Tonkin, and there were hundreds of B-52s coming out of Guam and Thailand. And I have that was my very first experience of combat. And it is indescribable. It's indescribable what a B-52 carrying 205 500-pound bombs each. And they're flying waves and waves and waves of these aircraft over Hanoi and Haiphong 24 hours a day for 11 or 12 days. The carriers that were in the Gulf of Tonkin, we were on an alternate schedule, noon to midnight and midnight to noon. So that meant that the Vietnamese were always being bombed. There was never a let up for 12 days. And that's what brought them finally to the realization that they can't go any further. Their country is going to be destroyed. We lost a lot of airplanes in those 12 days. I think we lost, don't quote me on this, but I think we lost 26 airplanes total. I think we lost 15 B-52s, a lot of crew. A lot of crew were killed, a lot of crew were captured. We lost one lieutenant from our squadron, our sister squadron, on Christmas Eve. His wife had just passed away a year prior to that, and he had 2 small children. That was devastating to us on the ship. We stood down on Christmas Day, and then we commenced bombing again the day after Christmas. And finally it stopped on the 29th. I want to show a video now that is pretty powerful. It's a video about what John and his buddies in Hanoi experienced. Probably not, doesn't even touch the surface of what they experienced. But as a matter of fact, there are 2 videos that I want to show. One is this is about 8 minutes long, if we can show it now. It's called Return with Honor, and it shows you about, I don't know, 6 or 7 POWs being interviewed. Honor, John, come up.
Sit over here by the flag, and we have a couple of things we want to present on this. That's good.
I will have to tell you, and I think I talked a little bit about it when I was here last year. Was it last year? I think
You maybe the year before because of COVID.
yeah. Well, I was in Hanoi during that period of time in the Hanoi Hilton. And they'd taken almost everyone, with the exception of one larger cell, about 30 of us, north to the China border in order to get them out of that Holocaust that Al was talking about. And we had these big arched windows that you could see out of, and there was no glass or anything, but they were barred. And it was during the bombing pause that we felt the ground shake a little bit, like a bowl of Jell-O. And then a few more shakes, but thought there could be some bombing going on. No bombing, because there was a bombing halt. The bombing pause had been on for a year or so, I think. And perfectly clear sky, and then thunder, just thunder. We looked at each other. John McCain was in this room, along with 30 of us altogether. And holy cow, President Nixon has sent our buffs to take us home. These people have no idea what they're in for. And he's exactly right. The bombing never stopped. There were bombs going off somewhere, not necessarily in Hanoi, all over that area, till there was nothing left to bomb. After those B-52s pulled off the target, Hanoi was just a volcano. So, Al, I want to thank you guys. And yeah, like Al, like every now and then one of them would make a smoking run right over the prison. And that got a lot of applause. I'll tell you, the guards didn't like that much. But by the time it was over, they were so bleary-eyed. They hadn't had any sleep. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't have any radar. They didn't have any bombs. They didn't have any guns left. And they were just getting destroyed. Well, anyway, just wanted to mention that from the ground perspective.
Well, why don't you guys have a seat? We've got something to present to you over here, and you know, really, this is for me a true honor. These are two heroes. Al does so much for the veteran community, and he's a hero himself. And he gives back through the Patriot Foundation, which is an organization that helps families of veterans, and through the USS Harry S. Truman Foundation. He's the president of that. And so as a wing, you're sending up today, I brought a picture of John's plane that he was shot down out of that my dad painted. The School of the Ozarks is getting ready to do a play about John's life.
It's in progress now.
Progress
It's actually
now.
being performed.
And so we're going to present two things. Brian, if you would, you could give this to John. And this is a Purple Heart. Yeah, I'll let you pull it out. I'll give you one job.
You know, they should replace me. Next to that, bud. Well, that's the rack. Yep. Hold the rack. There's actually two coins, a Purple Heart and a that's the commemorative Air Force one, right? Oh, no, that's the military one. I think that's only got two in there.
There's three.
No.
Great.
But there is a third. Sleight of hand, huh? A challenge coin from the Heart of America wing, because we give them to our special guests and our special friends, and we'd like to consider you both.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. Now,
You're
if
very-
you would be
Yeah.
so kind, because you know where it's going. That might be
It's probably not safe yet.
Yeah, give it to him after his plane ride.
There you go.
And then Al, we have one for you as well, in appreciation of all that you've done for coming out today and presenting. And I saw a challenge coin up in the video, so I think you know what a challenge coin is about. But also the Patriot and the challenge coin from the wing. And it means a lot to us. Thank you so much for your service and for what you've done for our country.
Thank you.
And then one last thing, I want to have a picture with
Do
you
we have the
guys.
local one in there too? Did we get
Should be
three?
both.
Okay, cool. Just sit down, there you go. Beth's not up here, is she?
We're going to do that this
She
way.
did a great job putting these together for our special guests.
All right, and for those of you that can't see, so remembering and honoring our POWs, and you got to share them in. I'm going to let you hold the cake.
I'll take that. I'll just stand there and be pretty.
And would you guys maybe hold the cake together?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You want a hand?
There you go.
Got it? Maybe you got to get it.
Yeah. There you
You
go.
thought the military was there.
Got it?
All right, let me come back and get it. You can't have the whole thing, will you? So, we'll let you hold it, Norm. So, I know I'd like to have our Vietnam veterans take a picture in front of the Huey. We're going to send John up in the plane. Would you give these two men one last round of applause? Go down and have lunch. We're gonna need about
Q&A.
we have a Q&A.
Okay. Number one, it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Absolutely. But question for Al. In your video, you started out in a Texan and you ended up in F-18. Wow. So you flew a lot of different airplanes, including the F-5E. Every time you transition to the next airplane, what was the airplane when you got into it, because you've been, progressing through, which one was the wow factor, like, holy cow?
They were all really fun to fly. I'll be honest with you. They were all really fun to fly, but it had to have been the Hornet. The Hornet was, the Hornet that I flew was the Legacy Hornet. It was the first Hornet that came out. Now they have the Super Hornet. And now they have the F-35 and they have the F-22 and they have the 5th and the 6th generation airplanes. But the Hornet that I flew was wow. I mean, it was not only easy to fly. I mean, it would fly itself. It would fly itself. The airplane had 51% of the vote. You could not stall the airplane, even though you tried. So you could cross control it. You could do anything that you wanted to, and it would just say, no, not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You can do whatever you want to do to me, but it's not going to happen. It had more power than I'd ever experienced before in my life. Everything worked in the airplane. For those of us who flew in Vietnam, we flew airplanes that a lot of stuff didn't work. This airplane, everything worked, and that was the thing that was wow about it. Wow, everything, wow. I mean, this instrument works, I mean, it works. I'd never flown an airplane that goes straight up. I mean, it was just so much power. You just felt like you could not get in trouble. You just felt like you could get out of anything. Even as poorly as you flew the airplane, it just had so much power. And it was a great airplane, great avionics. And today, I don't even, I got out 25 years ago, 26 years ago. And today, with the new airplanes that they have, it's a weapons nightmare. The airplanes are easy to fly, but it's the management of the cockpit which is a real challenge for them. But they were all wonderful airplanes. State of the art. The F-5 was it was a fabulous airplane. It had a radio and a TACAN and something else, and it was ready to go. You could get that airplane airborne in 5 minutes, literally 5, and it took you 3 minutes to taxi. So it was a fabulous airplane. As soon as the gyro spun up, you were ready to go. It was an easy airplane to fly. It was a fast airplane. Didn't have a lot of gas, but it was a great airplane. Go supersonic. It would go supersonic, and you wouldn't even know it. I mean, you had to watch it. So you get your nose buried down on the ground, and sorry, sorry.
I had one story for you, sir. When the war ended, I was in Japan, to a hospital ship. It was sent to Peking, China, to pick up POWs. We got to Tianjin, China, and we couldn't go up the river to get to Peking, so we picked up POWs at Tianjin, China, 1945. The ones that were the worst shape, they flew out. The ones that were ambulatory came back in the hospital. Took them back to either China, I can't remember, to China, back to Japan or Guam. But then we turned around and went to Lupton in Manchuria and picked up another group. Same one, turned around, take them back. But I want to talk to you some more about all the people we saw taking them back to China and Russia that were shot down or captured, whatever it was.
So Norm, for the back of the audience, Norm, who was at World War II, after the war was over, his ship helped pick up POWs from Russia and China, and so he's looking forward to talking to John after we break, after lunch. And Max, you have a question?
Yeah, my question, John, is, I noticed one of the POWs coming out saluted with his left hand.
Yeah.
And that was in your film also, Al. Do you know, and he had a uniform on, there was no sling on the right arm. He looked like he was swinging normally. And I just wondered if there's any significance in the fact that he saluted left-handed.
No, I don't think so, other than I'm sure there was probably a disability.
That's what I'm trying
He
to
could have
do,
had
yeah.
another uniform. I don't know how John McCain would have saluted, he didn't. But I'm sure that was the situation. Because there were, you watch those guys come home.
Well, I can imagine.
And you know, we looked like we're in pretty good shape, but there was a lot of them that were in real bad shape. They were gonna walk come hell or high water, and if it was a matter of having to crawl, and put them on the stretcher.
Well, the significant difference for the people that are not aware of it, we took very few prisoners because the Japanese emperor was also their god, their deity. And he told them, don't give up, you die. Don't give up, don't surrender. And there's a difference. It made a lot of difference in the kind of combat you fought.
Sure.
All right, well, we'll let John,
John, did you know a POW named Charlie Plum?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I-
Charlie Plum came home with me, as a matter of fact.
Okay, I met Charlie and listened to his speeches one time. It was
Packing
pretty
your
moving.
parachute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, he did, that was a good talk. He's talked to a lot of young people. I think I heard it one time, and it probably kind of morphed over the years. I think he still gives it from time to time, not very often, but yes. Charlie and I had an adventure where they picked 20 of us to give to Dr. Kissinger upon a visit to North Vietnam. And we said most of us would have gone on the next airplane anyway, but that wasn't the point. The point was we would not be released until the person that was shot down before us was released. We would be released in order. Well, we were kind of scattered out. They'd taken us from various cells. We said, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere till these guys that were shot down before us are released. And to make a story of 2 or 3 days, and we were isolated in the prison away from the other cells and our senior ranking officer. And they said, you have a choice. You go, or you will disappear into the Vietnam prison system, never to be heard of again. And to the man, this group says, we're not going anywhere until the people before us are released. Well, it wasn't just a few hours, might have been the next day. This full colonel shows up, American Air Force, lots of ribbons, scrambled eggs, the whole bit, you know. And he is escorted by some very proper looking North Vietnamese soldiers with AK-47s and that sort of thing. And he came up to our cell door, which was open barred, and we're like, oh, yeah, you know. Did we look that good when we put it in? And he stood there, and we popped a salute, and he essentially said, gentlemen, I represent your senior ranking officer for all of the camps. I represent the highest authority of your government. I'm here to inform you, if you do not go home, the tenuous status of the release of prisoners of war might be in jeopardy. So, gentlemen, you're going home. And I said, yes, sir. Packed our bags, and in just a couple of hours we had our stuff to put on. We were on our way. That was pretty tense there for a while, yeah.
You haven't seen tents until you've flown with Brian later.
Was this guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tents and petrifiers.
Tents and petrifiers. You haven't experienced tents yet. All right, should we let John maybe start us off downstairs so we can have a picture in front of the
Sure,
HOA?
yeah, sure, let's go.
And then let Norm and Max, well, you know, we'll all gather down. Any Vietnam veterans, let's get a quick pic, and then we'll gather lunch, and we'll send you up in an airplane. And take a moment and thank these two guys downstairs for their service to our country. All right?